Welcome back to the Athlete Hackers podcast. My name is Chris Schrade.
And my name is Mark Spellman. Welcome to 2022, 2 years into this wonderful COVID mess. Hopefully everybody's healthy, happy, and had a wonderful holiday season. We are starting off the new year with a superstar in the profession, a gentleman that I've come to know through Instagram fame, a gentleman that I look up to, admire, and hopefully this will be the start of a wonderful relationship with him. Coach Lew, how are you down at Georgia Tech? What's going on?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to this and appreciate you guys doing a great thing.
Thanks for coming on, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Before we get going with Coach Lew, it's been a while since we've been on. Our last guest was Coach Dr. Pat Ivey, Associate Athletic Director for Performance out at the University of Louisville. We covered a bunch of topics, as we usually do with our podcast. So go and take a listen to that. And
get your chili hot before you listen.
What?
Get your chili hot before you listen to it.
Get your chili hot and get his book. So great podcast, great individual. And leading into our next guest, Coach Lew, give everybody a little background on how you got down to Georgia Tech, how you got into the strength and conditioning world, and what we got going forward with the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech. That's how old I am.
Hey, I love it. So I grew up in Tampa, Florida. Just got a brother and a sister and great mom and dad that did a great job raising all of us. And I love football my whole life and played quarterback in high school. Didn't really get any Division I looks at quarterback, but I knew I could play running back in college. So I went D2 and D3 and played running back up north in West Virginia Wesleyan, and then transferred to Defiance College in Ohio. And that's my athletic story. And then my coaching career kind of started while I was in college, where I did 2 free internships my junior and senior year of college when I just went home for the summer. So South Florida was my first internship. And then that following summer, I moved to Virginia, did an internship there for free. And, I was just working out with the Division I teams and coaching them up for free during the summers, and then going back and playing at my little school. So that's what kind of got me on a fast track to get going in the profession. And, lots happened in between then and now, but thankful I'm here, and there's a lot more that goes with it, but that's a quick recap.
Coach, tell us how, when you got started with strength and conditioning for yourself, for your own athletic career, and then how that tied into your coaching.
Early high school, I realized if you don't get going with lifting weights, you're probably not going to make it. So I really tried to gain weight a lot. In high school, I was pretty light. So just seeing the results right away and the feeling I had after I worked out just became an addiction, became an obsession. And I don't think, like, my wife, I feel bad because, like, every time I'm on vacation, I can't go more than a day where it's like, all right, I can sleep in today, but tomorrow I'm back at it. So even on our honeymoon, I'm up at 6 a.m. on the cruise boat, and the treadmill, just like, I can't, more than 2 days is like a month to me, not training. So it's just kind of been since early high school, and it hasn't stopped since.
I think for most people in our profession, if you go 2 days without training, you become kind of a different person, and your significant other then requires you to go work out.
Right.
You need to be away from the family for a while. Go do whatever you do, wherever you do it. Just come back happier.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things, and you touched on a couple things. You got into it early. And I always say that, strength is never a weakness. So if the stronger, fitter, healthier athletes usually win the games. As we know, being available to play is pretty much everybody's top priority. You're a third string. There's a reason your third string wide receiver is a third string wide receiver and not the first string. So if you can keep your first string healthy, that's a good thing, and you're going to win more games. The other thing you touch on, you started off with 2 free internships. And I think for a lot of people that are new to our profession, they don't understand that aspect to our profession. You know, you have to cut your teeth. You have to put in time, and you're paying it forward almost to yourself by doing those free internships or GA positions or anything like that, because the coaches that you're under are putting time into you. And I think with that, there becomes a great requirement for the people that have those internships and grad assistants under them to make sure that they're bringing them up the right way and teaching them the right things to do. But also, when you get those internships and you get those GA positions, it's your job to work your ass off. It's your job. I'm going to assume that you probably started this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe even earlier.
4.
Okay. 4 o'clock for yourself or 4 o'clock for the team?
Oh, for myself. Yeah.
But it would behoove the interns or GAs that you have right now to meet you there at 4 o'clock.
Right.
Whether they do or not. I mean, when I did an internship with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my goal was always to beat the head guy there. You know, I made it a game. Like, who can be there first?
Funny story, because I have one of those stories too. My boss that I work for in Michigan, Aaron Wellman, who I think the world of to this day and always will, he was the most hardcore guy I've ever seen. So my first day on the job at Michigan, I said, "Coach, what time should I get there?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, you get there around 4:30. That'll be fine." I'm like, "Okay." So I got there at 4:15, but I was the last guy there on the staff, and the whole lift was already set up. So I'm like, "Whoa!" Like, first of all, I'm not lazy. Second of all, I'm going to prove to you, but this is a whole nother level. So the next day I got there at 3 a.m. and I beat him there, which was not what you do. Like, he didn't like that. So it was kind of awkward. So I stopped doing that. But then, like, if I did beat him there, I would just say, like, "Oh man." So I'll circle the block until he arrives just so I can come in right kind of with him.
Or just make sure you have his favorite cup of coffee.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Coach, I don't know if you've extended this game beyond, coaching, but I know Mark has. Mark will even try to be the first one in line when he goes to pick his kids up. Like, that's how overly competitive he is based on that.
I've taken a picture of it. I've taken a picture of it and put it on Instagram.
You do everything, try to do everything, right?
Well, and that's, I think, and I think what a lot of people need to understand is one of the reasons I reached out to you, because a lot of people in our profession don't put themselves out there. You know, we might videotape our kids working out, but we don't put ourselves out there as a human being like you have. And one of the things that, I want to ask you why you did that. And then the other one is, I saw that you posted the other day that I think in the football facility now, they have a quote up on the wall from you. I think it's at Georgia Tech. You posted it. Hopefully
yeah. It was I don't know where that is. It was someone tagged me in it at a gym that I have no idea where it is.
All right. So you need to use your NIL now, and you need to start getting paid for that stuff.
Right. I know.
name, image, and likeness goes to coaches too. So
yeah, I agree. I'm all about that.
And so that morning that I think it was after a conditioning session with the guys in the spring. And you weren't videotaping yourself. I would assume somebody else on staff was videotaping you, talking to the guys about things you have to do and things you don't have to do. So am I correct on that being the first one that you posted out?
Yeah, that's definitely one of them for sure. So, yep.
Now, what brought that to fruition? Because I mean, in our profession, we like I said, we videotape our guys working out, our girls working out, but we never really show the human side to our profession. And I've always told young coaches that nobody cares and you've heard this, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think you putting it out there. And I think the last one that I've saw is that you go in every day going, I've got to earn their respect. And I think for a lot of coaches, that's a mind flip, that they think the players have to come in and respect them. But you go in every day going, no, I've got to earn their respect more than they have to earn mine. So what brought you to that mindset?
Well, so yeah, like putting yourself out there first. I mean, that wasn't the most comfortable thing for me. COVID kind of got this whole thing rolling with just videos of messages that I've been given. Like I gave messages to the team that every team I've worked with as a head guy for 7 years now, after every lift and every run, I have a message of the day for them. And whether the cameras was there or not, that message was going to those kids. So when COVID hit, I kind of started doing it myself on my phone and just tweeting them. And like initially it was just for the players, but then I realized like a lot of people gravitate towards these messages, and you know, it's kind of tough for me to keep doing them, because it's like you don't want to be not genuine with your players, but I try not to be too much. I just do a little bit on social media, and it's brought me a lot of great relationships like the ones we're in right now, and I've just gotten to meet so many people that I never would have known. So that's helped a lot. But then the video that you're talking about, earning respect, there's not a day that I have not done the players workout before they do it. So like they'll show up at 8 o'clock, our first lift group. I'm here at 5 doing it. And not because like I just want to know what they're going through. I have to feel it. And it's part of my routine anyway. So why not do it? And I cross so many things out that I write that I got too excited about writing. And I'm like, man, I'm glad I tried that, because they would have died, or, you know, it would have been like really hard for them. So I look at myself as kind of the standard and what I should write and what's too much. So that's kind of who I've always been.
It's funny you say that. When I interned with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had about 12 different workouts that the players could choose from. And the head guy at the time, Mark Asanovich, he was like, you're going to go through every workout first. We were like, what? So we did 12 full body workouts in 2 days. And he's like, you need to know how they feel. And I say this because I think a lot of young coaches and even some old coaches, they write the greatest program ever, but they never do it. So it's like, how do you know how that feels like during a heavy academic day? How do you know how that feels like when your player's having a hard time at home, or there's other things outside of the facility that are going on, and now you're going to add more stress to this kid, and you don't even know what they're going through, and you don't even know how that workout feels. So it's like, if you write a workout up and don't do it, it's like almost like taking medicine and not knowing the side effects of the medicine before you take it.
Right.
So I always get curious when everybody's like, I wrote the best workout ever. I'm like, how do you know? You know, and I'll use best in quotes.
Yep.
Because
right.
As we know in our profession, and Chris is probably tired of me saying this one, you know, we get to the answer is 4. Well, you're going to go 2 + 2. Well, now I'll say you're going to go the square root of 16 because it's cooler. I'm going to go simple. I'm going to go 2 + 2, and Chris is going to go 8 - 4. But we all got to 4. So like it's understanding those intricacies in our profession. And once again, I think it's almost negligible and liable. Well, not liable, but negligible to have a kid do a workout that you haven't tried yourself. So
You know,
I commend you for that.
I think it's interesting, you know, the route you went with your success on Twitter and Instagram, you know, because you were doing it in your zone. You were doing it for the kids, for your team, to motivate them. And there's an emotional connection to that, you know, and I think in the social media age, people try to manipulate that emotion to their followers. And that formula doesn't work.
Right.
It's that emotion that you're connecting with the people that, you have those feelings for, that everyone gravitates to.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, there's so many things that, like, I've gone through so much as a coach and a player that it's almost like irresponsible to not give these kids your mistakes, your flaws, your regrets. I mean, your great experiences because you did it this way instead of that way, your habits, being a husband, being a dad, like getting them ahead of things that you were never told. And I have such a platform right now that I'm not trying to waste. I worked really hard to get to this point, and I'm not going to waste it with not giving these kids my entire heart. So, yeah, some of it's on social media, but like I'm very proud that like my best talks ever have been ones that no one have seen.
Hmm.
So that's the thing. Like, you just try to stay genuine in this world and just do a great job for the people you're around.
Well, speaking from somebody that follows you, everything that you've ever put it out has been genuine. It's been genuine, and I always like it. I do my 5 emojis, send it back to you.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate that.
and then I usually post it out.
Yeah. No, it's you're very consistent. I really appreciate it.
Everybody loves Mark's emojis.
When you put your family stuff out, I like it. It's like, hey, if I'm gonna like the talks, I gotta like the other aspect of your life. And I think a lot of people in our profession are afraid to share that, like, they're a human being. Like, you're not a robot. Like, these kids will gravitate to you more, not if you talk about your successes, but really, really hone in on your failures. Because as we know, in our world, you're going to have them. And then what are you going to do? What are you going to do when life comes up and smacks you right in the face? And that's
like today, yeah, exactly. Like today's message after our run, I was like, guys, you think like standing up to the enemy is this like brave and courageous thing. Like, if anyone challenged me, I would stand up to him. That's easy. Like, we're all made to stand up for ourselves when someone's coming at you or someone's coming after your family. It's easy. What is the hardest thing to do is to stand up to your friend. So you're going to be this big tough guy, and I'm honestly talking to myself in high school right now. You're going to be this big tough guy and getting all these fights and not be scared of anyone, but your friends are going to go this way and it's wrong, but you're not going to say anything. Like, it just happens all the time, and that's what ends up ruining people. Too many people, because everyone's leaving the weight room. All right, I'm leaving too. Oh, everyone's got these goals. Okay, I'll just take on these goals too. Like, everything you do, you got to try to get somehow the ability to say no to important people around you.
Well, even in a conditioning day, and I know the team, my best teams that I've had, and we've all seen it. It's that one player that's missed the line. You got to touch the line. If you don't touch the line, the run doesn't count. Well, it's okay for me to call them out, but when their teammate calls them out, it carries so much more weight. Carries so much more weight, because one, it's hard for that teammate to call them out, and then it's hard for the person that didn't touch the line to own up that, yeah, you didn't touch the line.
Right.
Like, as we know in our profession, the greatest teams are the ones that are led by the players. And they're going to do exceptional things because they hold themselves to a standard.
Yeah.
So,
we
go ahead.
As coaches and fathers, you're telling them all these stories about things you did wrong, things you did right, and it's like, you can throw that stuff out there and it's coming from your heart and you hope that it's going to do something for them. But at the same time, you can't stay attached to it, because it's up to them to take that info and change themselves. And it's not going to happen. It's a numbers game. You throw it out there, and the people who are going to take it are going to take it, and they're going to thrive from it.
I completely agree.
I think right now, one of things. I have 3 children, 2 teenagers, 1 daughter, 1 son, and then a 12-year-old son. And one of the greatest things that I've been able to share is that the importance of the weight room and working out on a daily basis, and to put yourself, be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And also know that nobody's making you do this. I always tell people when they come into the gym and they're like, I have to do this. I'm like, no, you don't. You get to do this. There's so many people in our world that are like, I have to. No, you don't. You get to do this. And I think, and I know you've used this in one of your posts, that you don't have to, we started this off, you don't have to eat right. You don't have to work as hard as you do, but then you're not going to play.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, the 53 guys that suit up for, well, it's more than that, but all the guys that suit up for Saturday's game at Georgia Tech, I would assume most of their goals is to get to the next level.
Yep.
Well, and also beat that little school up in Athens.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's the point. Like every kid, I told them today, they got to do their individual part for our team to have any chance. And if they don't, that's the point. Like this game is a mix. It's a big team game, but it's also an individual game. If one guy jumps off sides, we all move back 5. So you can keep not eating right. You can keep not touching the line. You can keep not hydrating and not stretching and skipping reps when I'm not looking and all that. You can do that. But you're in the meantime creating your own storm. And then later on, you're going to just get mad when it rains. And it's just your fault.
I love that, creating your own storm and then being upset when it rains. That's perfect. That's ideal. All right. So I'm an incoming freshman to Georgia Tech. What can I expect? How do we start off our relationship?
With the interview, with 25 questions, you and me in the office, just me asking you about your life and just trying to figure out who you are. If it's great, you're a great athlete, but if you're just a great athlete to me, we're not going to go very far. So where they've been, what they've overcome, worst coach they've ever had and why, best coach they've ever had and why, tattoos that they put on their bodies, tell stories that you probably want to know about, anything. I mean, birthday, favorite athlete, you name it, just all this stuff just to get going with them. And then after that, obviously get them in the system with the testing and the stuff that you're going to do. So I don't like to test too heavy early. So we'll body fat them, we'll height weight them, we'll vertical jump, broad jump. First week, we'll probably get a bench rep max on them, like 225 rep max, see what they can do, since it's a combine test in the NFL. And from there, we'll gauge towards it with power cleans or squats, or check how they bend and if they're even safe to bend. So, I mean, just really screen them, feel them out, and then let them communicate with you what the weight should be doing to move up and progress with them.
What's your preference for that incoming freshman in terms of their, let's call it physical IQ? How much they know about their bodies, about strength and conditioning. What's your preference as a strength coach?
I mean, it's so easy when the kids are like, they've done it all. The high school strength programs were just amazing. You could tell right away. The kids that have no idea how to do just an RDL or a basic lunge, or, I mean, you say these things to them and it's like you're speaking in different language sometimes. So the guys that, I mean, for the most part, I always say, we can teach you all the lifting part. We can get you caught up easily. But like when a kid comes in great shape, that's when he starts turning heads. Like he can keep up with the guys that have been running here for a while. That's very impressive to me and all the coaches. So yeah, I mean, just everyone's different, but I think the better shape they're in, the better response they'll get from everyone around here.
Even with kids with experience who are in shape and have come from a program, do you find yourself having to make a lot of corrections with their form?
Yeah, moderately, but a lot of them are pretty decent coming in. I mean, from what I've noticed lately, but you might have an occasional few that you're like, all right, we can't squat. We got to do a ton of flexibility work just to get them like somewhat near parallel. But again, if a kid can't, he can't. And it's your job to make them better and create ways to figure out different ideas to get them there. So
I got a good one for you because I saw it the other day. I guess the Buffalo Bills didn't squat in season.
yeah.
So how many?
I heard about that article, and that's interesting because there's so many different thoughts on that. And I haven't read the article though, because I know their strength coach well, and I like them a lot. So I don't know.
Now that's recently. That wasn't in the 60s.
No, this was this year.
Oh,
Well, and once again, going back to the answer being 4. Okay, they might not have put a bar on the back, but I guarantee you they did a multi-joint lower body movement.
Oh yeah, that dude, their strength coach is a wizard. I mean, he's very, very intelligent. So
One, and I think what a lot of people need to understand is that the stress that you put not only on your body, but the stress that you put on all the different systems in your body when you put a bar on your back, neurologically, you can probably achieve the same goal as far as lower body power and strength without putting that neurological stress by putting that bar on your back. Now, I know what I just said is going to piss off a lot of strength coaches. But once again, I don't think we need to argue it because we're all still going to get to the answer is 4. And did the Bills lose to the Chiefs because they didn't back squat? Or
that's like the old Mark Asanovich theory. Like, all right, so the Minnesota Vikings are playing the Tampa Bay Bucks this week. When the play starts, tell me who Olympic lifts and who doesn't. Like, they're NFL players and they're all fast and explosive and they look the same. So it's like everyone's different, but I agree. The answer is 4. There's a different way to get there. So
and probably within your own team, I guarantee you probably not everybody's doing the same workout.
That's right.
I mean, it's probably very individual and based on position and needs.
Yep.
And and you know, one of the big things that, you know, a lot of people are talking about is reverse engineering from the needs of the sport and how we're going to address that in our strength and conditioning program. Instead of having the offensive line run 110s when an offensive lineman is never going to run 110 yards in a game.
Yep.
In fact, nobody's going to run 110 yards in a game because the field's only 100 yards.
You'd be amazed today. Like, we had our team run, and I have the lineman run at a certain time, and then everyone else runs together at the end. But I'm not covering these yards, but we are pushing heavy sleds. We are dragging heavy sleds, and we're running 10-yard sprints with bands attached to us. We're running, we're shuffling and stopping and then turning and sprinting 5 yards. It's like, you would think by the look of their shirt and how sweaty it is and how bad they're breathing, you would think we ran 3110s, but it's all specific to trying to just get them ready to play in their own way. So,
yeah. I mean, and I'm sure the big guys appreciate that you don't make them run with the fast guys.
Yeah, they didn't appreciate me in 2019, but yeah.
Well, and I think in our profession, I think we've all made mistakes. I think anybody that gets to the level that you're at, can look back on their career and go, yeah, I wouldn't do that again. I mean, and I've said this on this podcast, there's a lot of athletes that I need to apologize for the things that I made them do when I made them do them. That basically goes out to the Fairfield University women's soccer team as a whole. For those that are listening.
I got a lot of apology letters to write too.
Yeah, and I think one of the great things about our profession is that when you get to your level, I guarantee you're still learning. You're still trying to get better because you want to be the best you can be for the individuals that depend on you. Yep. I mean, when I interned with the Redskins, Coach Riley, who had 3 Super Bowl rings at the time, he's like, Mark, if you ever go to a coach and he goes, this is the only way to do it, or this is the best way to do it, you need to walk away from them because they've stopped learning and they've stopped growing. You know what?
Yep.
Duly noted. So, I mean, I've got a bunch of books. My wife gets mad at me because of the Amazon bill, but I got a bunch of books that I still got to crack open, but I keep buying books. So.
Yeah, I think there's an app you might like called Headway.
Okay.
It's like man, you could pick so many different books and they give you like a 15-minute clip of it that really makes you feel like you read the whole book.
Nice. I like that. I
Yeah.
like anything. I like any.
It's like electronic cliff notes.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get all the books.
I mean, that, I mean, we're old enough that we're referencing Cliff Notes. God bless us. All right. So in our profession, what do you think needs to happen for our profession to evolve? Because I think, you know, when we're still arguing about, are you bilaterally squatting or are you single leg squatting? Is it better to recover with your hands on your head or your hands on your knees? I think, you know, I think as a profession, we need to get better and do a better service for one another to make sure that we're put in the positions that we're at and that all the positions in the strength and conditioning field are elevated. So what's if you could run, I'm not going to say the NSCA or the Collegiate Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association, but if you had the power for one day, what would you do to improve the strength and conditioning profession?
I would make sure all the sport coaches knew how very important it was. I would make sure all the administration in the building, wherever they're at, know how vital and important it really is. And then also, like, there's so many guys that don't know what they're doing, but they copy and paste it because a program had success doing it. So it's going to be like, our Alabama just won the national title again. So what are they doing? Well, for years, it was like the fourth quarter program and the basic power cleans. And, you know, you could just take their program and just take it to here and hope it works. That's not why I got into coaching. That's not why I think a lot of people got into coaching. They want to keep growing. But like for me, the only way I grow, yeah, reading helps, but calling people helps. Like that's the real ticket. Like people aren't going to teach you so much in a book. You gotta hear people, and you gotta quiz people on why they're doing stuff that they're doing and when and who and what time, and it just times of the year matter that you program stuff. It's like all this stuff is available, but we'd rather just copy and paste and just do it like someone else has always done it because it worked for them.
I got a good story about that. I had a sport coach at Fairfield University. He took the cover page from my summer program, took it off, took the Nebraska football program and put my cover thing on it. The athletes came back for camp that summer and they're like, "Coach, what's this?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Granted, the sport was not football either. So this was a different sport that took the Nebraska football program, stapled my cover sheet to it, and sent it out as that summer manual. And they knew it, like I was going to be pissed. The athletes knew I was going to be pissed off when they brought it to my attention. And I went to the AD and I went, "All right, so can I tell him who to recruit and what positions and what plays to call if they can tell me how to do my job?" He's like, "No, that's completely different." I went, "No, it's not at all." You know, and so I think I would hope our profession's being treated better now, but I know it still happens. And I think for a lot of young coaches, they need to understand that you kind of have to earn that trust of your head coach, your head sport coach, that they know that you're taking care of their athletes as best you can. And, you know, I think that goes a long way, but I would doubt there's a day go by that you do not talk to the head football coach.
There's not. You're right.
You know, almost to the point where you probably send each other Christmas cards.
No, hey, let's send me a big Waffle House package though.
Hey, even better.
Yeah. No, but like I honestly, like the profession, for it to keep moving forward, you got to start with sacrifice. I mean, you gotta get in your foot in the door by working for free for good people. And I really think that's my best advice for young guys. Like, are you gonna give up to go up? And if you're not, it's gonna be tough, because if you just want it right now, this ain't the profession for you. It's just so hard to even make it in general, or to just do this job and feed your family, let alone. And it's just the adversity that comes with it. If you really don't love it, it's going to show pretty quick. You either get there first, you either stay the latest, you either ask the questions the most, you know, no job's too small for you, you're humble, and you genuinely want to learn from great people. Like, that's the ticket, in my opinion.
And I think all coaches, you know, when they have a new staff member or a young staff member, I mean, there are dues to be paid. I mean, when I was with Mark Asanovich and the Buccaneers, we had to paint every plate in the facility. Now, for those that aren't familiar, Tampa in April is very hot, and we painted the plates black outside with spray paint. Then we let it dry for the day, had to flip them and then paint them again. Now, they look great, but that was our price of admissions to you know, being affiliated with Mark Asanovich and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's what we had to do. If you didn't like it, you didn't show up the next day. So, but once again, there was 200 applications for 3 spots. So I obviously did something right.
That's amazing.
Imagine painting all your plates in your weight room.
No, I mean, that's like, yeah, that's true initiation.
Yeah, it's like we got jumped into a gang.
Yeah.
Coach, I got a 2-part question. We got, you know, a bunch of 7th and 8th graders and high schoolers sitting at home dreaming about going to the next level, and their parents. What's the number 1 or 2 things that the kids can be doing for themselves to get themselves there? And what's the number 1 or 2 things that the parents can be doing to help facilitate that?
I think the parents need to give them the platform for them to constantly improve, but then give them some breathing room. You know, like, let them kind of figure it out too. Like, if you're forcing this thing, it's going to blow up. And I've seen that with my kids early on already. My son's 8. I'm like, hey, we're working out today. No, Dad, I don't feel like it. I'm not going to make him work out. You know, it's like, hey, we got to get extra batting practice. Dad, like, can I just go play and be a kid too? So, like, I think a lot of parents lose sight of, if my kid's not doing this X, Y, and Z every week to try to stay ahead. Now, trust me, I agree with working hard. I do. But ruining your kids is a whole nother story. So let them be kids, give them the opportunity and the resources to get better. But man, like, I just think of myself, you know, growing up. It's not like my dad was beating it down my throat to go get better at football. No, I just found working out was a great thing to do. And I love doing it, you know, and I figured it out myself in college. I've had to get through adversity. You know, it's like, you move away, you go through things, you're told that's not what's happening. How are you going to channel it? Work harder. You know, it's like, so I think kids got to get through things too on their own, but, you know, just find a good routine and stay in a good habit and eat right and work really hard. If you weak in that, work on it. And if you're strong in that, work on it, you know? So I don't know, that's kind of a twisted question from my end, but I see a lot of people ruining people too much.
To bolster that, you know, something happened last night. Coming home from basketball practice with my son, we're walking out, and he goes to me, he goes, I got to stop pulling the ball down first as soon as I get it. I got to stop dribbling it. And I looked at him. I said, oh, yeah? I go, how'd you figure that out? He's like, oh, Coach Rudy told me. I'm like, you know, I've been telling you that since 3rd grade. I'm like, I told you that just last weekend when he made that play, and like I referenced it. You know, sometimes for it to click, it can't come from you. It's got to come somewhere else. But it's not to say that all those seeds you planted weren't part of it either.
That's right. 100%.
Well, yeah, a lot of times you just got to let it marinate for a little bit. and let it, and then when you see it happen once, you're like, all right, we're good. Now I know the process. I'll say it, and then I'll sit back and let the magic happen.
I heard a great thing from John Gordon. He said, if you put pressure on your kids, that's your ego. So like just stop, like let them be, and let them be, like, let's see what happens. And if they want to work harder, you got them, man. You know exactly what to do. But like ramming it and just making it fit and force it in, and I just think that's a recipe for disaster.
I always give my kid an out. I'm like, look, if you don't want to do this, you don't have to. But everything that I'm telling you, that you have to do, you're going to do it. I don't care if you want to do basketball, baseball, soccer, you want to learn how to knit sweaters, whatever. The process is the same. You know, the hard work you put in, the things you need to do and learn and sacrifice, it's all the same no matter what.
Yes.
Well, and the fun, I was working out with my son the other day, and I was like, you know, the great thing about the weight room, 135 never lies to you. You know, whatever's on the bar is what's out on the bar. It doesn't care if you're having a good day or a bad day. You know, at the end of the day, you still got to move it. So, you know, and I think a lot of athletes don't understand that. It's like, you know, most of the adversity that you're going to face in life, you can actually go back to the weight room to understand, you know, why we made you do what we made you do. It was, yeah, I want you to be successful for the 4 years that you're with me, but more importantly, I want you to be a good husband, a good wife, a good father, a good mother, and a productive member of society. Those are my trophies. You know, you know, that's why I do what I do. You know. So,
yes.
If somebody wanted to reach out to you, or if there's a way to follow you, what are the different ways that people can get in touch with you? What are your social platforms? And we can go from there.
Yeah. What's that famous Instagram handle?
Well, almost 1 year old on Instagram, at Lew Caralla on Instagram, and then at Lewis Caralla on Twitter. Twitter was kind of the thing I just did. I didn't even think to get Instagram until the players kind of talked me into it. And then I think if people would just like message me on one of those two, I normally get back to them right away.
No, you're very good about it. I mean, the other thing is the thing that we just talked about for those parents that are listening and that are really pushing their kids, I'd look into the Marinovich family as a reference point for this and how that blew up on the dad. You know, it's a really sad story, to be honest. I mean, the kid had everything going for him, and his dad just drove him to the point of, you know, bad things happening. For those that don't know,
If it's not been said before, sports end at some point. It's what goes on after that that's important.
That's right. You waste your whole life trying to get this one thing accomplished, and after it doesn't happen, what do you got left with them?
Yep.
You know, it's all the other stuff that really mattered the whole time.
Yep.
exactly.
Well, Coach, thanks for coming on today, man. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Mark?
Coach Lew, it's always a pleasure, man. I'm glad we're going to start this relationship off. And then, you know, if you need anything from us, just, you know, don't hesitate to give me a call, reach out to me. I'd love to just talk to you when there aren't cameras on us and pick your brain. It seems like we kind of traveled the same path, you know, with Aaron Wellman and Mark Asanovich and Dan Riley and the crew, those guys. And, you know, I wish you guys down there in Atlanta nothing but the best.
Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you guys having me and asking me, and just thank you guys for what you do. It means a lot, and keep helping people.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you. We are the Athlete Hackers. My name is Chris Schrade. Check us out on Google, on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube.
We're still figuring out this whole podcast stuff. 2 years
We're a little rusty. It's been a while.
And as always, I appreciate you guys listening to us. All my best. God bless. Stay on for a second, Coach Lew. All my best and peace.
Peace.